Hello everyone. Today we are going to see the techniques for observing microorganism. The first is the examination of unstained preparation. What does it mean? Unstained preparations means the bacterial or any microbes without staining them directly how we are going to see under microscope. There are two important techniques. One is wet mount technique. For that, in a clean glass slide, we have to place about 50 microliter of broth, the microorganism in a liquid medium, then place a cover slip and see it under microscope directly. Second step is the hanging drop technique, for which we need a cavity slide, otherwise said to be concavity slide, then micro cover slip and a broth. The broth likewise should be placed one drop in a cover slip. Then in the four corners we need to place a Vaseline in the cover slip. The concavity slide should be reverted back onto the cavity, the micro cover slip, so that when you take back the slide, the drop will be hanging in the cover slip. So when we see both the smears under the microscope, it will be showing you the morphology, like whether it is a bacilli or a cocci, and it will also show you the motility of the bacteria. Second is examination of stained preparation. What is mean by stain? Stains are dyes used to increase color contrast. Means when you stain a bacterium, the background will be bright, means without any color, so that the organism will be stained. It will take up the color, which helps you to visualize the bacteria very prominently when compared to unstained smears. What are the components of smear? The stain. Components are the benzene ring, chromophore, the coloring dye, and the oxochrome. Oxochrome gives the basic nature or the acidic nature or the neutral nature to the dye. What is the difference between stain and a dye? Stains are with greater specification. It will be used for the biological purposes and they are pure when compared to the dyes. Dyes are with lesser specification and they are used for the general purposes. What are the types of stain? On the basis of origin, the stains can be of natural, for example hematoxylin, or synthetic, for example crystal violet. And based on the chemical behavior, the stains can be of acidic or basic or neutral. So, based on this pH balance, the stains can be of two types. One is positive staining and the other one is negative staining. Positive staining means the organism will be acidic in nature. The dye what we use will be of basic in nature. So the organism will take up the stain, not the background. Whereas in negative staining, the organism is acidic in nature and the dye what we use is also acidic in nature. So it will repel each other, the background will be stained, organism will not be stained. What are the materials that are used for staining a smear? First is we have to prepare a smear. For preparing a smear, we need either your organism in the liquid medium, otherwise said to be broth, or the colonies onto your agar plate, a synthetic medium. If your organisms are from a liquid medium, then no need to emulsify the colonies, the bacterium. Directly you can place the broth with the help of inoculation loop and spread on a clean glass slide. Then you can go for the next step. If it is in a case of colony, bacterial colony, then you have to emulsify the bacterium in the saline. Then spread it into a thin film and you can go for the next step. Next step is the fixation. Generally, the fixation occurs as a heat fixation in a microbiological cases, very rarely with the methanol. Third step is the application of staining solution. I'll go to the next step, staining solution. What are the different staining methods do we have? We have different applications like simple staining, means only one stain will be used in this case, where we can see the size, shape and arrangement of the bacterium. We cannot differentiate anything here. Second is the differential staining, means the name itself tells you that we are going to differentiate something, right? So in the differential staining, the main important must to know staining techniques are gram staining and acid fast staining. Gram staining, they broadly classifies the bacterium into gram positive and gram-negative. Acid-fast staining helps us to differentiate acid-fast organism to the non-acid-fast organism. Third is the special staining techniques where we can see the special structures of the bacterium. For example, not only in the bacterium, like even we can use the special stainings for fungus or the parasites, etc. For example, in case of bacterium, we can use the endospore staining for examining the spores, which is a resistant form of the bacteria. Secondarily, we can use the flagellar staining. Flagella is very thin to see under a compound microscope, so we need to impregnate them and we can see it under a microscope. Capsular staining. Mainly we will be using the negative staining technique for capsules. And the last will be the metachromatic granular staining, otherwise said to be Albert staining, which is used to see the granules, the food storage material of the bacterium